All right, we're here with our runningrestaurants.com on-location session. I'm here with Darren Johnson, co-owner and founder of Clermont Brewing Company. And we're going to talk all about this new business. All right, Darren, so I've been here a couple times. Love it. We've had great experiences. You guys are killing it right out of the gate. Tell me the idea, how it started, your background. What do you got?
Well, this plan developed kind of like osmosis. It was not this passion for brewing beer that started. It really started as a real estate investment that it turned into a brewery idea, and then started adding food and making it more of a restaurant and live entertainment venue. So it went through a series of, I would say, osmosis that in the business plan changed over the course of about a 12-month period. And we started off, a gentleman came to me about wanting to put a brewery here on this piece of property that I owned. It was an old feed store. I thought we were going to be able to renovate the feed store. An engineer ended up telling me to knock the building down before somebody dies in it. So then the brewery kind of came into existence. Then we decided to add pizza and start broadening the menu. I took my wife to breweries all over the world. She hated them. They had terrible wine. She's not a beer drinker, and she either drinks wine or vodka. It seems to be the case. So through this evolution, we continue to expand the menu to broaden the food mix here. And then we decided to add the liquor, because so many older people like myself really don't want the calories from beer, and to be able to give them some options that are alcohol was something that I got a lot of feedback when we were developing the concept. And then I added sushi, but the idea with the food all along was it to be very communal and very social. So all of the food offerings are very shareable, whether it's the sushi, chips and salsa, hummus, the pizza. We've added, today we have a new menu coming out that we have all kinds of sliders. We have Korean barbecue tacos, but everything was meant to be communal and share. Even our seating is designed that way, that it's a place to come hang out, where it's a big group, small group, and we designed the building to be able to accommodate private events. So we can keep the front open to the public, and the back porch in the backyard we can do private events in. And we are booking a lot of private events, Christmas parties, holiday parties, anniversaries, high school reunions, you name it, a lot of different things that we're booking out there. So that's kind of the history and how it is. We redesigned it to be similar to the old feed store that was here that we knocked down and rebuilt.
Yeah, what I see is really interesting is I don't think that there was one day where you had this picture in your brain.
Right.
Like it wasn't going to look like this in day one. And I know you told the story of you bought the building maybe even years ago with something else in mind, and it navigated to this. And what's really interesting is I think almost everything is done right here in terms of working for what you're doing. And so that evolution that you talked about is really interesting. But get to the point of integrating things you've learned from the past in a restaurant. Maybe it's the trips you took that you saw you wanted to integrate something with your bar, having the open cold fire pizza, the outside. What combination of things from your past really led to where you are?
Well, I think you kind of hit it on the head. You know, I spent a lot of time going to breweries, not just in Florida, the United States, but literally all over the world, and looking at the things that I thought were unique, things that I really liked, things that, you know, needless to say, I saw a lot of things that I didn't like. And I think with my background in design and corporate event planning, my job is really creating a killer guest experience, and it has to really start with that. Food and beverage are kind of my passion, but the reality is the customer experience has got to be front and center. And these other things, live entertainment, food, and beverage, feed into the customer experience. But the customer experience isn't just that either. It's the whole vibe when you walk into place. You know, how's the lighting? How loud's the music? What type of music is there? Is there even any music? You know, I wanted TVs, but I didn't want a sports bar. I didn't, I wanted pizza, but I didn't want to be a pizza joint. I wanted beer. I definitely wanted to be a brewery, but we also wanted cocktails to, broaden that customer base. So I think, taking all of the things that I learned, visiting these other places, all of the things that I know from my career as a planner and designer, I took all of those pieces together and wanted to create a killer guest experience. I wanted wows from when you got on the front porch to our signage, our outdoor lighting, our bathrooms, our back porch, different seating configurations and stuff. Put the centerpiece of our kitchen is an Italian pizza oven. I call it the Ferrari of pizza ovens. It's got a rotating deck in there, and we can cook 150 pizzas an hour in that thing. And and so it's awesome. So even designing the menu, designing our craft cocktails, our beer mix, it all went about the whole thing went about the guest experience.
All right, a couple things there that I really keyed on and I wrote down. Killer guest experience. So that was built in. And so I want to talk about that. You talk about the wow components when you walk in, and it really does work like that. There's several things that you key on. The eyes key on the feature bar here, the outside bar, the patio space, as well as so a lot of things you can really gravitate towards. But I feel like you also built it with profit first. So you didn't have a mindset of a new owner like, hey, I have a fun idea and we have some things we want to cook and it's going to be great. It was like, no, it was like very thought out, very strategic. Profit centers, pizzas, low cost item, profitable. Not a big heavy menu with 55,000 things on it. Very, very thought out. Beer profitable, alcohol profitable. You thought about event space. So the reason I wanted to talk with Darren is, as a new operator, don't just open and think you're going to do great. You've got to have multiple ideas. You got to bake profit right into the thing. So talk more about that mentality.
Well, I am a serial entrepreneur, and I own and operate 3 or 4 businesses currently right now. And all of the painful lessons that I've learned throughout time has been profitability. I don't care how great the idea is. If there isn't a market for the product and you don't have good margins in it, your chance of success are very limited. And I had 3 restaurants before this, and we failed miserably at 2 of them because our costs were too high, our margins were too low, our rents were too expensive, and we were trying to sell a product necessarily that the customers in that geographic weren't accepting so much. So when we decided to do this, and I promised my wife I would never do it again, but here we are again. But we started off as like, look, if we're going to do this, let's start with the 2 highest margin items there are in all of food and beverage. If I can make a beer for 50 cents and sell it for $6, I got margin.
That's good.
If I can make a pizza and sell it for 16 or 18 bucks and have $2 or $3 in it, I got margin. So that gives me the opportunity with some of the lower margin items like salads and things you need to appeal to, the health conscious eater, a female audience and that stuff that are lower margin items. But if you're driving the bulk of your revenue with your high margin stuff, you have the opportunity. And for me, the whole purpose of driving revenue and having those margins like that was to be able to book great entertainment and it be free to the customers that came in.
Right.
It's very hard for a venue to book good entertainment. Every other brewery you go to, you get a solo guitar player, and because that's what they can afford based on their revenue mix and also what their profitability is. To put, we end up putting $1,000, $1,500 bands on that stage all the time. And you have to be able to take that money from higher margin items to be able to afford to do that. If not, I'd just be getting to zero every month is not my goal.
Yeah, you'd be like, it's fun. Isn't this fun? I'm a bar owner. Like everybody's dancing, but I'm not making any money.
You have to look at margins first. And every item on our menu, we purposely designed to get out fast and be communal and start with the margin first.
Right.
And if the margins suck, we do have a couple of things in there that margins aren't great, but desserts and salads and some of that stuff. But you got to have them, So but we look at every other item on there, whether it's chips and salsa, it's hummus, it's the meatballs, it's the Korean barbecue tacos. You know, we have a big smoker out back that we smoke all of our meats for our proteins that go on our salads and tacos and nachos and that kind of stuff. But, you know, if you know, and this is what we did. I designed a menu, and then because what you don't want is a chef to design the menu, because chefs are about food quality, presentation, and that they are not margin focused. You know, kitchen managers manage a menu, chefs design a menu. So what we did is I designed the menu. I hired an executive chef to come in and build every single item. And I had, you know, he spent 2 months in our kitchen. We designed pizzas, we designed hummus recipes, we designed Korean barbecue sauces, we designed every single item we designed, and I was there every step of the way. He was seasoned guy, you know, we wanted to keep it as artisanal as possible and margin at the same time. And if you don't do it every step of the way, because one ingredient in there can skew the whole margin. And you say, okay, do I have to have Himalayan pink salt, or can I use Utah pink salt? Well, it's half the price, and it's still pink salt. You know, there's places that you have to make business decisions that necessarily, just if I let the chef run wild, it'd be freaking truffle from south of France coming in, and this kind of stuff. You know, is the cheese from Wisconsin as good as the cheese from the south of France? It's close, but when you're blending it with 4 cheeses and you're putting it in a 700-degree pizza oven, I guarantee you nobody can tell the difference. So you have to be, you want to stay true to, you know, artisanal, but at the same time, profit has got to be first and foremost. You got no shot of success if you don't have margins in your food. And let me tell you what, if you're running over 30% food costs, you're going to be in trouble.
You're going to be in trouble.
It's going to catch you.
Yeah, so I like that you started with a limited menu. I like that you focused on the areas that you talked about. And the times I've come here, I've had pizza, and it's not a cheap pizza, right? It's a $16 pizza, but it's good. Yeah. Like I'll order it again. I'll order it tonight when I come back in. But it's a good pizza. I feel like I'm getting a good value. It's a full meal. You know, it's a full meal. So people they're not coming here for, you know, a cheap $8 pizza. Right. They're coming here for the experience. And so I like that you limited every single item on the menu is built with profitability in mind, or a feeder to something else. And so let's go into the music, because I think it's a big component. I've been here on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and live music band is playing. We don't have it, not showing it here, but great vibe. This room is full. You got standing room only. You got people out back as well. You got folks dancing, and a live music venue, certainly in this neighborhood, is unique. And it's unique in independent restaurants to have live music. And you already talked about why, because the economics aren't there unless you bake it in. So you obviously thought that was a big part of it. I think it's a big part of the reason that it's so successful. It just creates this great vibe. Why did you have to do that?
Well, I mean, if you think about how many places can you name that you can go see a dance band and go dance? I mean, name the ones. How many can you name in Central Florida?
It's like
it might point exactly. Yeah, you can go see a solo guitar player in a lot of places. You know, and it's, I don't want to say there's anything wrong with that, because we have acoustic night on Wednesday, and on the weekends, not during football season, we'll have that kind of entertainment out on the back porch as well. But I have a passion for live music, so that's really what started it. Oh, yeah. And I'm in that business of producing live entertainment. So I wanted a venue where people could, it's part of the guest experience. I mean, you just can't have all this cool stuff and listen to Pandora. You know, it's not the same thing. Live entertainment, people love to sit and watch. They have the choice of sitting and watching, or they can dance with their spouse, or watch their spouse dance, or whatever. But people tell me that all the time. God, I love Friday and Saturday nights to be able to come in here and dance, you know, or watch people dance. It's great people watching. Yeah, so, you know, we get, you know, freak shows and everything else out there, but it's great people watching, and it's great entertainment. And the other thing, too, is for people in South Lake County, we don't have to drive to Winter Garden or Orlando to get a fun guest experience. And I tell you, our customer base is is so broad that it's amazing.
It is.
That we get families with their kids out here, and we get the retirement community from Kings Ridge, Heritage Hills, and Summit Greens all the time. We get, even this week, we had a bus show up from a assisted living that they parked on our handicap and wheeled in 4 wheelchairs and 4 people on walkers, and they sat at that table and they were drinking beer. I mean, these people were in their 80s and they were sitting here drinking beer during the day and eating a pizza. And one lady, I helped get her back to the bus. She says, "Thank you. I love this place and I love your beer." I'm thinking, this lady, I didn't even think an 80-something-year-old lady would even have any idea about quality beer. And she says, "I love your beer." So anyway, it was probably the most unique experience that I've seen yet from our demographic that is as wide open as it is, and that is not by accident. I wanted something for everybody, and that is, and you can open up that funnel. We're not everything to everybody, but we have very purposely, we just implemented happy hour where it's half price on our craft beer, our house wines, and we make our own sangria, and we have our own margaritas on tap. That's all half off from 3 to 6. Nobody does that. Nobody can afford to do that if you're not driving revenues from other places. But, that brings in, we look at each one of these different meal periods as a separate revenue and a separate marketing strategy that we have. And we basically have 5 of them that we look at. We got happy hour, we got lunch, we got happy hour, we've got dinner, and we got private events and special events. Private events are when somebody's, books some space and has a set menu or what have you. And then special events, we'll have a big Halloween party here, costume, all the employees will be dressed up, we'll have a cast costume we've got a band that's touring the United States called J.B. Crockett from Nashville that'll be here. So we'll do a big thing. There's no cost to any customer. But, we will hammer it on social media. It's a fun place. There'll be parents with kids out back. I guarantee it. And there'll be adults in here acting like adults. And those types of events, our friends at Sun Creek down the street, they're a traditional brewery. They do Oktoberfest. They do St. Patrick's Day. They do traditional beer drinking things. And they are what I would consider more of a traditional brewery. We'll do the Halloween and Cinco de Mayo and other things like that. So we kind of complement each other from an event standpoint, that we're not competing for the same customer. But at the same time, special events and fun events, Yoga Mosa we start this Saturday. Yeah. People are coming in Saturday, $10. They get an hour yoga session and in a free mimosa after they're done. So, events and things like that really don't cost us anything. You just have to be a little creative and, get your staff prepared to be able to facilitate it and execute it correctly.
Yeah, I want to hit a couple things there. One is I get exactly what you're talking about. We came in right away, and I got the vibe. The demographic is exactly what you're talking about. It's from 20s to 60s plus. The last time we came in, there was kids running around in the back. Which is great. And if we bring our kids, they would do the same thing. They're playing with the golf balls back there, and just kind of there's space to have fun. Meanwhile, the adults can actually sit down and enjoy it. So I was really kind of pleasantly surprised by the vibe the first time we came in when it was when the music was playing. Again, demographics all over the board, people having fun and dancing, and I was like, oh man, this is what kind of Clermont needed. So talk about that aspect of being a longtime resident and seeing what is here and not here, and then boom, you probably knew that there was going to be a reaction.
Well, I've lived here 25 years. My wife is third generation, and our kids, and now we have grandkids here, so we're in our 6th generation of Clermont. And unfortunately, our downtown is about 25 years behind the curve of redevelopment, where everybody else has kind of left us in the dust, so to speak. And when I decided to do this investment, I had a decision to make. Did I want to do it downtown, or did I want to be out where all the traffic count is and 50,000 cars a day are driving by, and that is a hard thing to turn down.
Absolutely.
to come to to decide to build in a destination that I have 180 cars go by a day, or what? I'm not even sure it's that many, but but we decided for the sake of downtown and for the sake of the redevelopment that we were going to do it in downtown, and we knew how starved downtown
Absolutely
was
starving, yeah.
for any type of place that you could go have a beer, have a cocktail, have food in downtown that's open 7 days a week, that we're open till 11 or 12 at night. So, it was, there was a lot of thought.
I'll stop you there. I mean, you didn't even know, like, first time I came here, I was like, where are we going to park? You don't even know if you can park, and maybe you did a deal with the church, or maybe that just happened, but, like, there's not even technically parking.
Right.
And you got to think about that.
So, I mean, parking was a monster mountain that we had to climb and work with the city on to get this, to get the parking sorted out here. One of the things one of the incentives when you develop in downtown in the central business district is that you have the ability to build to your lot lines with no setbacks. You don't have to have on-site retention or parking because you're in the downtown.
Right.
So, but that doesn't mean you don't have to deal with those things in some capacity. So I literally ended up with one parking space, a handicap parking space on my property that I was, struggling to even get that in there. But so basically the parking is relegated to whatever on the street parking there is. So the city had been using the church parking lot across the street for 11 years. And there had been negotiation going on with the church and the city about the city leasing that parking lot from them, be able to allow residents to park there for special events, the farmers market, 4th of July, Light Up Clermont, all those events. So I happened to come along at the right time to give the city another reason to get that deal done with the church. So fortunately for me, I've been a member of that church for 25 years, so I was kind of on both sides of the deal in the negotiations. So I'm talking to the city about what the church needs, because I've been one of those people over there that have been pissed off that everybody's using our parking lot. We're the ones over there picking up the beer bottles and all the stuff all the time, and the city's been using it for years. And so anyway, the city and the church came to a deal. They did a lease agreement on it. The city provided a lot of infrastructure upgrades and stuff over there, lighting and landscape management and curbs and that kind of stuff. And it was absolutely, the best scenario for us.
Absolutely.
Because that's our parking lot. But we try to be good neighbors. We police that area and make sure that it stays clean. I'm good friends with the preacher. I see him every day, and I know that as being the neighbor, that we want to keep that relationship.
Yeah, well, that's
healthy.
a great symbiotic relationship there, because otherwise it would be a little tricky for parking. So I was curious about that. So cool. Yeah. Let's get into some of the marketing stuff. So, opening a new place, you have hopes and dreams and ideas, and you want people to experience it. And I think you baked a lot of that in, but you still don't know if people are going to show up. And I think you guys did a really good job on your social media in showing construction photos, showing the brewery getting built. This is delivered. So you guys, boom, you opened up with I don't know the number, but thousands of followers are now with you guys. That process, that mentality, soft opening, like what else did you do to get the momentum going in the beginning? Because that's the key thing, hitting the ground running.
So it is the key, and from some past experiences too, and living here in Clermont's a very fickle, it's a funny town. Whatever the new restaurant is, everybody slams it, they crush it for the first 30 or 60 days, and then all of a sudden nobody goes there anymore. And it's just weird how that works in this town. But it is the reality. It was no different from us. But 20 years ago when I owned the restaurants, marketing was a totally different animal. It was very traditional media. It was print and print and some radio, some billboards, and and a lot of couponing and that kind of stuff. I mean, in today's business and my other businesses, social media is it's the 300-pound gorilla. And you cannot do social media by accident or by the way. I'm going to do a post tonight. You have to be very deliberate. You have to be very thoughtful. You have to have a schedule of events, and you have to have experts manage that process for you, so things are done on a timely basis, and things that are relevant and current, and when something's going to happen tomorrow that we just found out about, man, it's out there now. It's on. Everything automatically hits Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and no, we don't Snapchat, but so whatever the other ones are. So we have a dedicated team that takes care of all of our website, our newsletter, and our social media. Then I handle.
Hey now, the restaurant business. There we go.
That would be live in the kitchen. That's good timing. Yeah. So my thought was I knew that first 90 days we were going to have the typical honeymoon period, that where with a new kid in town, everybody's coming here to try. You know, we had a 40-minute wait on Tuesday nights and stuff. You know, I'm thinking, oh yeah, we're like Carrabba. You know, who's got a 40-minute wait? With that honeymoon, all that wears off, you know, and then you go back, and at some point in 30 to 90 days, you're going to become just another restaurant in your market.
Yes, sir.
And then you have to you have to add traditional media to it to survive. So, you know, we are starting our 5th month. We opened June 5th, so it was June, July, August, September. So for October, we had a little bit of the benefit of a pretty hard run there, June, July, and it started tailing off in August, which is normal for August. But anyway, the honeymoon period was over. So now, you know, I have implemented a full-on major marketing program where we started last week advertising on 103.1 The Wolf to really push our Thursday country night. And so, you know, I advertise Tuesday, Wednesday, on Thursday, because those are nights that I need. I want more business in here. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday, they're going to do live remotes once a month to promote our country acts. They're a country station. Nice. So I picked one radio station, and I wanted to hammer it hard on those 3 days: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I want key spots. I want morning and afternoon drive time stuff. I don't want any crap at 11 o'clock. I don't want it in the morning. I don't want $2 spots. I want $30 spots. And I can't afford many, but this is the period I want them. So you have to be very deliberate when you're spending that money. Same thing with Spectrum TV. Next week we'll start running commercials on ESPN, Channel 13, and Food Network. And you want to be very specific. Who is your customer? Who's your customer? And I want to, you know, everybody's your customer in our world, but you got to kind of narrow it down to some specific things. Same strategy there. I want to hammer 15, 20 commercials a day on just a few days versus, you know, they want to sell you all this whole
network.
You know, every channel 2 times a day on every channel. You know, I learned that I learned all these lessons the hard way.
That's right.
And so same thing with print and digital. You know, through our South Lake Chamber, we're doing print ads in all of the retirement communities: Kings Ridge, Heritage Hills, Trilogy, Summit Greens. So they have a monthly magazine. So I'm targeting the retirement community for lunch and happy hour. They love, you know, that, and you know, plus they'll get the other stuff, but very specifically, you know, lunch and happy hour. These people have disposable income. They love drinking beer, and if they come, a lot of them come at night to see the music as well. So, you know, that's my print, and then, you know, I'm doing some digital ads with the chamber and some other places, and so, you know, I think to be successful, you have to do a lot of these things, and if you can't just rely on social media today, I mean, if you are some places can, and I think a few places, Crooked Can would be an example of hitting a grand slam, of having a destination in the perfect location, the perfect geographics, and it's something that is so close to a walkability, and ride your bicycle and walk your dog and golf carts and stuff. To recreate that, that's an anomaly. Those guys do monster volume. It's a really cool concept, but it's, you know, that is not replicatable often. to create that kind of thing. The volume of beer they sell over there is mind-boggling.
Right.
And I see the stats every month, and I know. And but again, when you're doing, they don't have to do any more. Social is all they have to do, because they have they're in an area that has a ton of residents that were in walking distance. So. So anyway, from a marketing standpoint, and then our special events, fundraisers, and I just did a whole marketing package up at Legends Way, all the softball fields, where we're sponsoring, tickets coming in, signages at the entry, at the ball field and stuff. Those people, college level athletes and their teams and stuff, this is the perfect place. You could bring your whole team and take over my entire back porch.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going after, those markets. So, that is, so luckily for me, that's my job at the brewery is marketing, special events, and entertainment. David, my partner, he runs the day-to-day operations during the day, and we have a general manager at night who runs the night shifts. Then we have some key staff employees in the kitchen and the front of house and bar and stuff that kind of manage that. But you have to have a freaking solid team to be able to do this.
I want to hit a couple things that just to recap for, like, we're trying to talk to owners who are in any part of their business, but especially when you're new and you're operating or you don't have the business that you want. You're not just relying on one thing. You're not saying this one thing I'm going to do is going to work. You're not even relying on the fact that you've been busy. You're like, what you're going to bake this stuff into the community, and you just identified the neighborhood communities, the local print, the local radio. So a very strategic approach to keep traffic in here. And I was going to mention, because I saw a print ad in one of the local papers, and I was they've started the print as well, and that's important. I'm also going to have to hit you up on the softball side. Because my kids play softball, and we'll I'd love to have you as a sponsor for those guys. So I'll follow up with you on that. But yeah, that's great. That the softball community here is huge.
Right.
Legends Way, NTC. You can put a banner up there. Perfect crowd. We come in with our teams all the time, and exactly, we'll bring in 12 families. Yeah. We'll take 25 people. We'll love to have a back section. Yeah. Teams love that sort of stuff. Right. So you, as a local restaurant, you want to be part of the community. You want to invite those teams in. You don't want to be a pain in the ass to say, oh, we don't want 10 people to come in. Right. No, you want a team to come in. We're about to drop $1,000 on your plate. Yeah. We've had restaurants say, no, we don't want. We can't accommodate you. And guess what? We go to the next place that doesn't want our $1,000. So it is a good mentality. So the marketing piece is in place. You talked about we probably see some of the screens in the back. Sports is a draw. People come for the games. How do you think about it?
Well, it's one more revenue driver is how I look at it. I mean, we had a big decision to make from a financial commitment to get the NFL ticket. Yeah. And when you're over 200 seats, those guys started off, they wanted $12,000 because of the amount of TVs and the places we had. And I stalled and through the process, and and I got right down to it like the week before the first weekend, and we ended up getting it for like $5,000. It was but it's still so when you break that down, you have basically you have a 1 o'clock and a 4:20 game on 16 Saturdays or Sundays, and you got to figure. Then you break that down, cost per 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock game. Yep. I'm basically having to drive $500 in revenue for each one of those things to get it, because Thursday night's free, Sunday night's free, Monday night's free. That's right. And then you have some network games that are free. But if I want those Philadelphia Eagle fans and not at Buffalo Wild Wings, I want them here, I got to have it. I want those Patriot fans, those big games that mean something, to different markets. So we pulled the trigger. We did it, and say, okay, Sunday is a day that is, may get some families out back drinking, especially when it cools down. Oh yeah. I think but sports is a very popular thing, and there's a big football community, but any kind of events, the World Series basketball events, we will show those on TVs, and having 16 TVs gives us flexibility to put different things on for different customers. Some people want the Russian Grand Prix, some want soccer. I mean, there's a big soccer crowd here too. Absolutely. So we have that flexibility. I mean, we spent a ton of money on that media cabinet,
Yep.
with a touchpad to be able to change any TV to whatever we want, whether it's Spectrum or Direct TV. We got both
Right.
of those things, and but it's a cost.
Yeah.
But we look at it as, okay, does it generate traffic for us? Yes, we hope it does. Even if it gets us to zero, it's still worth it because we're getting customers in that we wouldn't have had.
Well, I can tell you, as a consumer, it makes a difference. There's the places that have literally, 2 small TVs above the bar, and they're running whatever they're running. And if I have a choice to go to that or a place that has 16 screens, it makes a difference. I'm out on Friday night.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be talking and drinking, but I do want to poke over and see my team playing that night.
Right.
And I want to follow the scores. I'm telling you, I know it factors in my decision.
Yeah.
It does impact people. And the layout you have here, where you can really see them.
Yeah.
They're not hiding. I think it's great. So I know that must have been a tough check to write, but I think it's part of the process. And the last thing I want to talk about today as we wrap up is people. So the people equation of running a business, specifically a new restaurant where you need to hire a lot and probably go through 50% of them in that first 3 months. Maybe it's a bigger number because they're not going to work out, and you got to find the right people, because ultimately you do want great people in all these spots. And everybody we've had, every experience we've had so far has been great here. So you're doing something good with the people. How do you do it? What's your approach? What do you think?
Well, the hospitality industry, is a tough industry because obviously it's close to minimum wage. Tips and things like that obviously bring the pay scale up. But the very first thing you have to do to get good employees is you have to have a good, positive work environment. You got to have a place where people enjoy working.
Oh, yeah.
We get bombed daily with people wanting to work here because every one of the employees that work here, they tell their friends about, man, we love working here. Even if, let's say it's an off night or it's not, it's not Outback or Carrabba's every night of the week. People, they love the music, the TVs, the other camaraderie, and truthfully, we probably had to hire. We have, I think, 60 employees that work here, and I bet we hired 200 to get to 60.
Really, that much?
I mean, you're going to weed out a lot of knuckleheads. You can tell. You know what? And we kind of have a philosophy here: we hire slow and fire fast.
Yeah.
And if somebody is a potential cancer, you know what, we get rid of them as quick as possible because we don't want somebody contaminating the environment. And so we treat our people very good. We understand work balance. We understand family. We understand issues and life gets in the way and family, whatever that stuff is. And we have a high degree of understanding of that to a degree. So then when we feel somebody's taking advantage, let them know, here's the deal. And, but we want everybody, because if my worker's not happy, your experience is going to be part of whatever. If they're bringing their baggage to work and then they got to wait on tables with other people, guess what? That baggage gets left at every single table. And people have bad days and that stuff, but we try to encourage them to leave it in the car, leave it at home. If you don't feel you can give somebody a 5-star service, then, let us know and we'll replace you on the shift.
Yeah.
So, that I guarantee you ask any of these employees if they love working. Every one of you see here have been here from day one. The ones that are still here. I mean, we had some good ones, and we've been able to cultivate them and keep them. So, a good workplace environment, you can't yell at employees. You can't call them names. And, I hear some of the stories from the employees that come to the workplace, and I'm thinking how do you expect to keep an employee if you treat them like a rabid dog, I mean, so, we, and a lot of this comes with experience in David and I's age. We're not millennials or first timers in this business. I've managed hundreds of employees in my businesses and stuff, and I've learned everything I've learned the hard way, and that being the case, so, our employees are our best recruiters.
That's right.
We need more kitchen help. Go find me some. And they, that's the hardest area there is the kitchen, because they're not tipped and they usually are, prone to a little more trouble than the rest of them. But But you know going in, we had a job fair. We had 2 job fairs here. We had hundreds of people apply, and you try to distill their character very quickly. I can train you for skill. I can't teach you a personality. I can teach you how to make a pizza. But, if you got a bad attitude, I can't fix that.
I think it's personality first.
Without a doubt.
You can train this.
It is.
I really think and it's not rocket science, but you're right. If you can get the culture that where your employees are fun and then they are driving your referrals to new people, then that's where every restaurant wants to be.
Yeah.
And you want to have a backlog of sheets with people ready to come in. Should an opening come? And I think that's probably where you guys are now. You went through a lot. Now you're staffed, and now you probably have people waiting, chomping at the bit for an opening to come in, and that's where every restaurant wants to be. And any incentivizing the staff yet with contests or games?
Not yet. We're still trying to, actually today or tomorrow we finally roll out our full menu from 4 months ago. But it's an evolution of what sells, getting customer feedback, how's it going in the kitchen, what's the margin, all of these things, how fast can we get it out. So, it's funny, and I've been saying this for fun. We learn something new about every 15 minutes, Jamie.
That's good.
It's still 4 months into it. We still every day learn some new thing. Whether it's a medical emergency, it's a service dog that went haywire, it's a whatever, air conditioning leaking on the table. But as long as you have the human element and you're doing live events, and we do a lot of live events, there is an opportunity to learn something every time, whether it's love bugs, mosquitoes, or whatever, hurricanes. So, and then add the people element to it. So whether it's employees or customers. So, I think we know we're going to continue learning. Is you just can't close your mind and not accept change in things, and that's kind of the nature of the beast.
I did. You mentioned the hurricane, and we're sitting in October, and hopefully we don't have any storms, but we did have a storm almost come through and came through. And when I gave my presentation in the Florida restaurant show, I took a screenshot of your social media, your Facebook, where you guys talked about raising supplies for the Bahamas. And my point in that, when I talked about at the show, I was like, this is what a local community restaurant should do for their neighborhood. You should have the mentality of helping out and being a point. And I think it was the day it happened. And you were like, we don't know how we're going to do it, but I'm going to rent a truck, bring your stuff, we're going to make it happen. Let's do this. And people were sharing it like crazy. Talk about that mentality.
Well, I think that is part of being a good neighbor, good citizen, and good just karma. And if you give back to the community that supports you, it cannot be a one-way street, and I think, just even like the softball and the dance studios and all football teams and all the Little League Pop Warner stuff that we contribute to, it's just the right thing to do. And we have a vehicle here and a voice with our social media followers and our customers that come in, and they respond to that. And just so we have the opportunity to do it, and I have the expertise and know how to do it. So I whatever the next one is, we'll probably be involved in that in some way. But I think it's like Chick-fil-A. They, to me, are the model citizen of a corporation that is so in tune to community support, community involvement. I mean, I don't know if Rocky ever says no to a fundraiser or some type of youth program or development, and I truthfully, I try to emulate how good of a corporate citizen they are in the community. And if we could be half as good as them, I'd be thrilled. So it's funny, that's a kind of an odd business necessarily compared to our business, but the same thing from a community support standpoint. People count on me. I want us to be that, that business that where we get money from all those teams and kids and families that come in here, and if I have an opportunity to be able to give back to the community, I know it's kind of a, cliche term, but it's very true. I mean, it means something we're all in this community, and our employees' kids are playing on that team, or they're in that band, or they're going on this trip, or whatever the case may be. So if we have the opportunity to, like I said, to be able to use our voice and our facility, and have our customers, if they want to participate and donate, we provide the format and the place to do it. Yep. And we're learning. I mean, we're learning how to do this and as well. But it's so far it's been pretty good.
Yeah. I appreciate it. So, all right, we covered a lot today. I appreciate you sitting down. We talked about opening a new place, the excitement, but building into the opening profitability right from the start. And I think that's a key now in this business where margins are tight. Labor this, rent that. You already talked about all the things you could do wrong. And if you get them wrong, you're closing the door in 6 months, and that's not what anybody wants. And so you gotta bake those things in right away. Profit centers and profitability. So we talked about that. Talked about marketing and having silos feeding into your funnel. You got to continue to do that. So we hit on that as well. And then the people equation. So I think we covered a lot of key tips for restaurant folks. I appreciate you sitting down as we close. Let people know the website, the social, anything else you want to leave them with. What do you got?
It's ClermontBrewingCompany.com is our website. Clermont Brewing Company on Facebook, Instagram. We have sign up for our newsletter. We have events and a live calendar on our website with entertainment all the way out till 2020. So if you're going to be in town next year, look on our calendar. We've got already something on the schedule. So
absolutely.
Thanks for having me, Jamie.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Glad to be able to share.
You got to come in and check these guys out. They're doing a great job. The live music is just really adding something special to this community. So this was runningrestaurants.com doing an on-location session with Darren Johnson from Clermont Brewing Company. Check them out on the web, on social. We'll see you next time. Thanks.